Well, it's been an adjustment. Crutches take some adjusting. Hey there everyone, welcome back to my channel as I take you along my Achilles tendon recovery journey. What has it been like living with an Achilles tendon rupture 3 weeks in? It's been quite an adjustment. I'm just gonna share with you a week by week breakdown of what it looked like, what changed, what adjustments had to be made. Now week one was all about just managing any damage that was already done. So we're talking ice, resting of course, ice, compression and elevation. I know there are studies about this not being effective, but hey, I did what I knew to do. I think by day 3 or 4 of the injury, I had some black and blue bruising at the base of my foot, sole of my foot. I imagine would be due to like maybe whatever happening pooling there. I don't know, but this is really what it looked like. And that meant immediately cutting off all activity or extra activity. After getting that boot with the heel lift, that meant not really putting any weight on the foot. So first 2 weeks I didn't return to the gym. I wasn't doing any walking outside, nothing. I really was confined to my couch or my bed. I was taking Tylenol for pain because, fun fact, I'm allergic to things like aspirin and ibuprofen and NSAIDs. So Tylenol was the extent of the pain management that I could employ. As far as like the activities of daily living, you know, like getting dressed, having a shower, going down the stairs, cooking, making my bed, I kind of still continued doing those things. I just had to use all of it with crutches. Crutches take some adjusting. Now I live in a house with stairs, and for somebody like me who is, you know, active, it still had me breathing really hard going up and down these stairs. But so navigating those crutches took some getting used to, and sore armpits or bruising along the armpits area can happen. I slept with my foot elevated as much as I could, bought a wedge pillow to make that easier. Spent a lot of time sitting on the couch with my foot up. So that was week 1. Week 2 saw more of the same, except now I was able to do a little hobbling on one crutch. So technically I was not supposed to be putting weight on it, but I kind of cheated and did. So I was moving around in the kitchen, going to the bathroom, that type of thing. Or I did take my dog out. I would leave one crutch and then kind of hobble out on the other just to check her out, to, you know, do her business or whatnot. I didn't go walking or anything, just that. I still was able to drive because it's all my non-driving foot, so that was not that big of a deal. Again, I still tried to use both as much as possible. I was still elevating, still doing ice. I didn't go to the gym for the first 2 weeks. After that, the 3rd week I did. Week 3, sleeping with the boot is challenging because the boot is stiff and heavy, and just your usual movements get impeded. I got a wedge pillow to elevate my foot. Problem with that is I'm a side sleeper, and it did not work for that. So I had to use a pillow to accommodate the boot, but also just my hips and alignment and all of that type of thing. So that's something to be mindful of if you find yourself in this situation. You know, the one thing I did with this boot, I would wipe the boot off every time I came back in the house, because I'm going to be sleeping with the boots, so I needed to sanitize it, and I would do that every single time I come back inside. The other thing about the boot was it made my hips very sore because the boot had all of this extra height, so it added like 3 inches. It would put my foot out of alignment. I could have gotten what they call level ups, but I didn't. It was a discomfort that was not fun, and I would try my best to kind of stay off the foot as much as I could. Week 3 too, I kind of went back to the gym, not to jump back or pick up where I left off, but more so to assess how I would have to navigate the gym after surgery once I get the go ahead to return to movement and that type of thing. So it was interesting, the modifications I would have to make, but it is manageable, it is doable for me. That said, if you find yourself in this situation, the one thing I will say is the longer you delay surgery, if that's the option you're choosing, the more work they might have to do to repair. So that's something for you to consider. But also, I know also things may impact that decision. So that's life with the Achilles tendon rupture after 3 weeks, and with the surgery a couple days out, we are heading into week 4. Then it's gonna be more of the same. So sleeping with the foot elevated, using the crutches as much as possible. I did get a mobility aid. I got what I call the iWalk knee crutch, but it did not work for the kind of air boot that I have, simply because the compression button on the boot was smashed to where whenever I put my knee down on the crutch and kept pumping it up, so it made it very uncomfortable. It just wasn't fitting my thigh very well. Not to mention I would always be tripping, and they did say you may have that where you catch, kind of like you stub your toe or buck your toe. That would happen once I took it outside. I did take it outside for a spin with my dog and went for a short walk with my husband, but it was not very comfortable. I see the usefulness of it, certainly going up and down the stairs, but in terms of sitting down, it is not comfortable. It's not as easily maneuverable outside of you walking on it. So it's not for me. I also didn't get a knee scooter just because I have stairs, and to fold it down and carry it up and down the stairs is not something I wanted to do. So I have not decided what the mobility tool is that I'm going to use outside of crutches after surgery is. So I just wanted to mention those mobility tools. I will also mention some other tools that I've been using to kind of help. I've been using, like I said, a wedge pillow. I also got a shower bag for my foot to prevent it getting wet in the shower. You may also need a shower seat to assist you taking shower. For me, I just needed to make sure I not slip. So that's something to also pay attention to or be mindful of, your ability to do those things with the foot while it is incapacitated. So that's life with Achilles tendon rupture before surgery. Now let me tell you what are some things to consider before heading into surgery. Something else that I'm doing in preparation for the surgery is hair care. Now, I typically wash my hair every week, but knowing that I will not be able to get my incision wet for a while, I'm going to wash my hair today and get it in some twists. Typically, that's what I do to get a twist out and get curly hair, but I'm going to leave the twist in for a while because I know I will not be able to get my incision wet. So whether you want to put braids in or get your hair braided or get it in a style, a protective style that you don't have to worry about for at least 2 weeks, that's something you want to consider. What are your hair care needs and how you can address them before you go into surgery, so that after surgery it's not something you have to worry about. Something else I did prior to surgery is getting my feet done. That's a pedicure. I got my heels scrubbed and exfoliated, got my feet massaged gently as much as I could to kind of just make sure that my feet looked good prior to surgery, because I wouldn't be able to do it after. And then the final consideration prior to surgery is meal prep. Make a few meals prior to surgery so that post-surgery you will only need to reheat or have whoever's helping you reheat. So use a meal prep service or you prep meals ahead so that you do not have to worry about it, because it will be important. And there you have it. Living with an Achilles tendon rupture, a few weeks in, all the things that have changed and the adjustments I've made, and the ways I'm preparing or the things I'm putting in place before going into surgery. Thanks so much for tuning in. Come back and catch the episode where I share going into surgery and coming out of it. See ya.